Right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The Cleveland Cavaliers just wrapped up one of their finest seasons in franchise history as winning 64 games during the NBA's regular season campaign is nothing to sneeze at, all right? But for the second consecutive year in the playoffs, Cleveland came short of getting past the second round. We saw the division rival Indiana Pacers be too much for the Cavs as they sent home the top team in the East in 5 games. You look at this series, and honestly, Indiana went out there and set the tone in game number one with that 121 to 112 victory. Indiana was not intimidated by the Cavs. They took 3 out of 4 from the Cavaliers during the regular season, including all of the games in Cleveland. And for what it was worth this season, Cleveland was 2-7 against Indiana. Now, I get it that a couple of those games were late in the season when the Cavs had basically locked everything up and they were resting guys. But this Pacers team was hot down the stretch. And I think getting that big win in game number one really, solidified things. And in my opinion, okay, I feel as if Indiana took Cleveland's heart in game number two. Remember, Cleveland was up by 17 points after the first quarter in game number two. They were up big throughout, and then they couldn't put Indiana away. Indiana came back hard in that fourth quarter. And of course, they were down late in that contest. And of course, it was culminated with that 3-point shot to win the game by Tyrese Halliburton. And from that point, you could just hear the life sucked out of that arena in Cleveland. Okay, that's what that shot, did for the Cavaliers, and of course did for the Pacers. We saw Cleveland rebound and play their best game clearly of the series with their 126 to 104 win over Indiana as they dictated things basically from the opening tip. But then the way that Indiana responded in game number four, they nearly put up 40 points on the Cavs after the first quarter. Cleveland was down 38 to 23, and for what it was worth, okay, Cleveland found themselves down 80 to 39 at halftime. It was never really a game. And then, of course, some people figured, all right, we're going back to Cleveland for game number five. The Cavs will get back on track. They started strong once again, but they couldn't put Indiana away because Indiana, they've been down throughout this postseason, but they've never been out. We saw it in the first round against Milwaukee, and we saw it again in Cleveland throughout this series. And the Pacers just came storming back in the third quarter, and of course they finished things off in quarter number four to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second consecutive year. So if you're Cleveland, like I said, you just won 64 games, but it's one of those where you didn't win a game at home for this entire series as you were dominated by the Indiana Pacers. Now, I know not having Darius Garland for the first 2 games of this series hurt, but defensively, Cleveland was never able to slow down this Indiana offense. And that's the thing with Indiana. They can come at you in waves and they could come at you with different guys. You talk about Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard. Then you look at that bench production with the likes of Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and TJ McConnell. The Pacers just come at you in waves, and the Cavs were never able to get it over the hump. But like I said, Cleveland never had an answer for Indiana all season long. Now, you look at this series, and Donovan Mitchell, played like a star player. I mean, he put Cleveland on his back, but it wasn't enough. We saw Mitchell average more than 34 points per game for the series. And of course, unfortunately for Mitchell, people are going to question him now because between his time with Cleveland and between his time with Utah, he has not been able to get past the second round. And that's going to be something that's going to be a stigma, unfortunately for him, that is going to be on his career until he is able to do it. But like I said before, Indiana simply had Cleveland's number. And for me, I think the biggest thing, and I keep talking about this with the Pacers, their offense is their defense because they just have thoroughbreds. They know how to run you out of gas. I give the coaching edge in this one to Rick Carlisle. He is very much more experienced at this than Kenny Atkinson is. This was just Kenny Atkinson's second trip to the playoffs as a head coach in the NBA. And you know what? It showed. Like I said before for Cleveland, this was a big step in the right direction for this franchise, but they've got to find a way if you're the Cavaliers to get over that hump. We've seen this team be built from the ground up. JB Bickerstaff, built laid the foundation. He was surprisingly fired after last season after going 48 and 34 and getting the Cavs to the second round. Now you bring in Kenny Atkinson. He went 64 and 18. And of course, we saw JB Bickerstaff turn things around for the Detroit Pistons. But nonetheless, you have to find a way as an organization, if you are the Cavaliers, to take that next step. You look at the pieces because the Cavs are basically, they've got their core guys locked up for the coming years. Okay, everybody's going to be under contract. I'm not sure how much wheeling and dealing will be done over the summer by the Cavaliers. You look at it because you never know, again, with that additional luxury tax apron, how that is going to shape things. But Garland, Mitchell, DeAndre Hunter, Jared Allen, the whole Evan Mobley, they are all under contract. I think the biggest thing for the Cavaliers, they have to step up and seize the moment. Donovan Mitchell did. Okay, but I think the rest of this Cavs team didn't do that. You look at round number one, it was a cakewalk against Miami. Okay, and Miami was a play-in team. Miami wasn't expected to be there, and you know what? It showed. But the deeper that you get into the postseason, the tougher it gets. I mean, at this point in the game, unless you have somebody's number or there are injuries, you're not going to sweep a team, okay, in the postseason, like once you get past the first round, unless you are extremely dominant. That was not going to be the case with Indiana anyway, because I felt like this series was going to go to seven. In my opinion, Indiana got Cleveland up out of there in a hurry. But nonetheless, you have to seize the moment and your intensity needs to go up to the next level. And I feel like from watching from an outsider's perspective, I feel like Cleveland's intensity was not able to match that of Indiana. Indiana took the court expecting to win while Cleveland took the court hoping to win. And again, like I said before, I really feel after game number two, Indiana simply took Cleveland's heart. But again, that has got to be something that the Cavs have to get over. You have to take your game up to the next level in the playoffs because it can't just be a Donovan Mitchell show. Other guys have to go above and beyond as well if this Cavaliers team is going to be able to go where they want to go. Some people might question Kenny Atkinson right now after this second round exit. We've got to wait and see. It was his year number one with the Cavaliers. Let's see where they go from here. 60-win seasons in the NBA are not easy to come by. They're not going to be something where it's going to be easy to consistently do as well because, again, you were the top dog in the East during the regular season. Everybody's going to be gunning for you next season. But again, we got to see how things play out, not only with the Cavs, but the rest of the league over the summer. But again, if you're Cleveland, your season clearly ended much quicker than you wanted it to be. Indiana played like the better team, and that is why they are getting prepped for the conference finals, and that is why the Cleveland Cavaliers are cleaning out their lockers. Phenomenal regular season for Cleveland, but it couldn't translate to postseason success. But if you're the Cavaliers, like I said, as an organization, as a team, You've got to find a way to take it to the next level. You have to get your intensity for the postseason there. So let's see what the Cavs do over the summer to take that next step. But nonetheless, fine folks, want to take this time out to thank all of you for checking out this 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Also, just like it is with the X, if you are on Instagram, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Give me that follow. I'll give you that follow right back. Until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.